Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and today I'm going to be talking about being in love, or AKA honeymoon period. And this is one of the most misunderstood things when it comes to being in a relationship and maintaining that honeymoon period. I think everybody thinks that you start the relationship, you go through the honeymoon phase, and then at some point it just fades away. And then when it fades away, it doesn't mean that you are unhappy within your relationship. You are happy, and there's things that you find that bring you security. And I think those are the things that actually we mainly focus on, things that bring us security, assurance, stability, all those things that are bring comfort in terms of going through life, that you have a life partner. And I think that's the main thing, that when you are with somebody, it's being able to share life with somebody. And those are the things that we focus on, and we sort of bear with life. And even though we wish to have that honeymoon period again, it's very difficult to recreate that, because there's a lot of things that we have to factor in when it comes to it. And whether you're just the two of you, whether it's just you and a girlfriend, or your girlfriend and kids, or you and your wife and kids, there's variants of when you can actually recreate that. And there's different ways of recreating that honeymoon period and making it last for a long period of time. And I think that's the main thing, that it's not that it's completely gone, that you are not able to recreate that. You can at some periods of life, and it depends on what's happening in your life. And it becomes very important to understand what causes it to happen. And when you do make it happen, how do you extend that period of feeling in love? Because just because you're not feeling in love doesn't mean you stop loving that person. You still love them. There's a lot of things that are good qualities that complement you as a person, and you complementing them, which makes you a great couple. But stepping it up a notch would be, having those feelings that you had when in the beginning. Remember the first time when you went out, and then you asked them to go out for a date, and then you went out for the date, and then you remember the time you were thinking about the first kiss. Remember the first time when you escalated it to making love, and then there's a lot of first things that you were getting through, and those things were what made it quite exciting, because there were novelties and there was different things that were new experiences. And those discovering of new experiences is coupled in with uncertainty, and that uncertainty and clarification of uncertainty and discovering that uncertainty is what makes the whole thing exciting. That you didn't know one thing, and then it's almost like you're traveling to multiple locations. So it's something which I was reading quite recently from a professor called Esther, and she talks about that we focus on romance, which is everything that is to do with safety, so stability, reassurance, and all those things. We focus on those when we get into a relationship, but that's what makes the relationship stale. And part of the thing that makes it a little bit more exciting is the fact that there's a bit of uncertainty, there's a little refreshing and renewing, and there's a few things of you both discovering new things about each other. So that is one of the key things of having that being in love state. And a lot of reasons why we don't get to that point is because initially when we meet somebody, we put on a mask, and we put on this facade. We show all the best elements of ourselves. Sometimes it's not a lie. In fact, it's probably the truth. We amplify the best attributes of ourselves, and the people fall in love. The person that you love falls in love with that, and when they do, over time, whether it's an act or something, it becomes very difficult to uphold that sort of act, or uphold that way of behaving in order to make things work. Because now, and sometimes you just relax from all of that. So whether you were exhibiting, romance, and you're doing all these other things, but now, because you guys are now comfortable, you're not doing those same things again. You're not discovering each other in a different way. So because you're comfortable, so maybe you might not feel like you have to do that, and that's the reason why you get into this sort of hamster wheel of really not feeling it. You love that person, but you're not feeling in love. And once in a while, when that person evolves and changes, you fall in love again, because they've discovered something different and they've evolved in some certain way. Because you're now just rediscovering each other in that period, you fall in love. And this is the key, that when you have to be constantly reinventing yourself within the relationship, and not totally like reinventing yourself in terms of changing your personality. In fact, the best way to reinvent yourself is actually to reveal more of yourself. And this is one of the things I struggled with because of previous trauma and everything else. I used to wouldn't open up as much as I should. I would keep things to myself, and I didn't feel like I was comfortable to show, my whole self, because I was just in fear of being rejected. And because of that, I put up shields within the relationship. So keeping those shields up became extremely tiring and very difficult. And sometimes it would now lock out my wife, and vice versa. She would do the same. And putting up those shields is also a signal that you are not complete within yourself. So I didn't feel comfortable with myself. She didn't feel comfortable in herself. So we were just playing this thing of shielding and trying to show different things in order to, and it's in a sense, it's a way of manipulating your partner to feel a certain way in order for them to stay. And it's like some sort of manipulation. It's not intentional, but it's just a way that there's no real lessons when it comes to relationships. So we end up doing stuff that we do not understand, and we're just doing the thing that because we love them and we want to keep them, and we do anything to keep them. And sometimes it is some sort of way we modify our behavior in order to manipulate the situation to come into our favor. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And because of that, over time, it's a way at the relationship. And that's not just one thing. That's part of it. Part of it is the fact that based on how you feel about yourself, you end up, mistreating your spouse or your partner. So whether I've seen this before where guys or girls, they name call their partners, and in order to shame them, and when they shame them, it keeps them in a point where they are, in a constant fear of being shamed. So and again, I've seen it before where, partners abuse their partners in order to keep them in check, basically. So those are the things that happen, and that's the extreme. The less extreme is the subtle behaviors that are manipulative, that keep sort of you in check. Again, it's coming from a place of trauma. It's coming from a place of negative. It's coming from a place of I'm not enough, so I need you to complete me. So in order for you to complete me, I have to maneuver you in a certain way in order to act and behave in a certain way. And those are the things that prevent you to actually truly experience each other in that way where you feel in love. So it becomes very important to start working towards resolving this part of that trauma. That's trauma towards relationships, and being able to open up fully. And as you discover each other in that way where you're completely open and vulnerable, so meaning that you're opening yourself up to a point where, yes, you are going to be vulnerable, but by showing parts of that your life that is weak, a weakness, you both start working towards making those weaknesses into strengths on both parties. And when you can be that transparent and be able to show that you are scared to lose that person, or you're a bit nervous, you don't know how to feel when this happens, or you're not happy when they call you names, even when it's something that is so trivial, if it's a big deal to your partner, them expressing that they do not like it when you do that, and you being able to accept that and make it into a strength, is the way that you start connecting. And when you start connecting that way, it starts putting you further into in love. And again, this is one of the reasons why even people in long relationships, they struggle to have that sexual connection as well, because it also ties in with your sexual connection. Because the more you spend time living this facade manipulative type thing, which cycle that you're going through. And again, most people will say, no, that's not me, I don't do that kind of thing, or my missus will never do that to me. But just take a step back and then look and think about it, that yes, you do love your partner, and she loves you, or he loves you. Why is it that you're not constantly in that honeymoon period? And just think about the negative feelings that you feel when you're by yourself. Think about the times when you feel like you cannot really say what you mean. Think about the times when you've had opportunities to say something that would be beneficial for the relationship, in terms of, I think, or at that point I lied, can you forgive me, can we resolve this together? This different, I don't know what's happening in a relationship, but you know what I'm talking about, that there's something, the fact that you're failing to have difficult conversations is a key indicator that there's some things that is within inside you that is stopping you from actually being truly yourself. So if you think about it, when was the last time when you're truly yourself, truly open, and feel like you're not being judged? If you know that you can say something and you're afraid of being judged, then again, you're still holding back on something. So I'm trying to just paint a picture of why it's not happening. And again, it comes down to you being able to be open. And that's one of the tactics. I think this is an episode that I'm sort of laying out the foundation. I think we'll definitely need to go deeper into the actual strategy of actually having those conversations, those difficult conversations, so you can find common ground on certain things. And sometimes the things that you're thinking about are absurd, because your mind tends to stretch ideas, and then it becomes this big massive thing, when really it's not as big as a massive thing as it is. It's just you having that dialogue and being able to sort things out. So in terms of falling in love and feeling in love consistently for a long period of time, it's you being able to start dealing with your own thing. And the most powerful thing in a relationship is when in fact, I've heard this before, where people say, in a relationship it has to be 50-50. I tend to disagree with that, because when it's 50-50, it means that there's something missing. When you walk into a relationship feeling that you've got something missing, then it means that you're going to have to do things in order to keep that person, so you make yourself feel fulfilled. Whereas if you come in there 100% and that person comes in with 100%, then you're fully coming in there contributing. And it's this paradigm where a lot of relationships, again, in fact, this whole entire episode, what I'm trying to get at, and I've gone around the wrong way of saying it, and so I apologize for that. What I'm trying to get at is the fact that in a relationship, when you deal with trauma and deal on yourself, you become 100%. And when you become 100%, you get into a position where you're contributing into the relationship instead of wanting to take into the relationship. What gets you to that point of being in love is that you're both contributing, rather than one of you wanting something or expecting something. Because when you expect something, it means that there's something within inside you that is not fulfilled. And when you are now looking for fulfillment from an outside source, it means that there's something that is not right within you. And when it comes from a negative standpoint, then it actually makes it very difficult for you to relate. So now this is just a lot of information I've been just spewing out, and I hope for anybody who's in this situation where they're just desperate to get into that position where they're in love again and they are experiencing the relationship in a powerful way. Hopefully this is a little bit of a nugget that you can start taking on and actually start implementing in your relationship. That yes, I might have trauma. In fact, that's the main thing. Being able to just say, yes, I've got some trauma, I need to deal with this, is key. So thank you very much for listening. And it's all said in love. I know today is a little bit intense and sort of going, all guns blazing. But I just got a little bit excited. It's one of my favorite things to talk about after, talking about business as well. Because I did go on 30 minutes I like to keep it within 15 minutes. So thank you very much for listening, guys. If you want to learn more of this stuff, can you please go and join the Facebook group, Men of Honor Facebook group. And if you've got any question, go to my Instagram, Kuri Mahamba, and ask any question, and I'll be happy to answer you guys. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll be seeing you soon.